All right, welcome. In this video, I'm going to do some of the work, help you to get started on program 3. So let's get started. I've downloaded the instructions here, so let's take a look at the instructions. In the instructions, you're going to be, the purpose of this assignment is functions. So we're going to use some library functions from ctype.h just to practice library functions again, and printf and scanf, of course, from stdio.h. You're going to submit your source code file with last name program3.c the same way you have done for the first two programs. But for this assignment, you're also going to take a screenshot of your program execution running through your IDE to demonstrate that you have tested your code in an IDE and your code is working before you submit it. So at the end, after you've completed all of your code and you're testing it and you're doing it, you're going to just take one screenshot of your code executing. The screenshot should include the entire screen and the console window and the complete execution. So I will demonstrate for you at the end of the video what I'm looking for. All right, so we're going to be making basically four little sub programs in one program. So you're going to have your main function like you always do, and then we're going to make four little separate sub programs that are all part of this one program, and they will be in programmer defined functions. You need to put function prototypes above the main function and function definitions below the main function. That is very important. You will have points deducted if you do not use the correct style. So let's look at the functions. The other things you're going to need to know how to use the two upper and two lower function the same way you did in program 2. And you're also going to find the integer value of characters the same way you did in program 2. So these are the functions. The first function is a greeting function. Here you just put a bunch of printf statements in it, welcoming the user. You can write whatever you want to. You can format it how you want. Then we're going to have a function called initial practice. Should be called character practice, but it doesn't matter. You're going to declare, ask, and get a character from the user. You're going to display the lowercase version of that character and its numerical value. And you're going to display the uppercase version of that letter and its numerical value. All of this work is going to be done inside of this initial practice function. You declare all variables in here. You do all the work in here. It's like its own little sub program, and then you're going to put a function call in the main to call that function. Then we have these two other functions, a pounds to kilograms function, where you declare, ask, and get the weight in pounds, convert it to kilograms, and print both those results onto the screen, and then a kilograms to pounds function. So in this video, I'm going to do these two functions right here, and then I'm going to leave these two functions for you to add to the assignment. You need to look up or, find the conversion amounts to convert kilograms to pounds and pounds to kilograms. Other information, you will submit your source code file like you always do and one screenshot. Use descriptive variable names. You don't have to use my variable names. You can use your own variable names, but they should be descriptive. Your code should be good style. You should match the assignment name. And of course, you should run it in your IDE, which is where you're demonstrating that when you submit your screen capture. All right, so let's get started. Here is the template. I'm going to be using Visual Studio, so I'm going to launch Visual Studio here on my computer. I've downloaded and installed Visual Studio, so I will launch it. I'm going to create a new project for program 3. It's going to be an empty project. I'm going to call this program 3. Assignment, that's the name of the directory. Create. All right, so here's my Visual Studio. Then I just say project, add new item. My last name is Sorgente underscore program 3.c. So I will add this, and now I have my Solution Explorer over here. My source code file is in my project, so I will take this, the file that I downloaded, and copy and paste that into my project. Now I've given this to you because I really want you to make sure that you use function prototypes. These are the function, the structure is that you put your name, date, and a brief description up here at the top. These preprocessor directives are for Visual Studio, but they don't hurt anything if they're there. They must be above stdio.h, that's for printf and scanf. So these must be at the top. Then you got your library ctype.h. Then you have your programmer defined prototypes, the greeting function, the initial practice function, the pounds to kilograms function, and the kilograms to pounds function. So this code that I've put in here should compile. It probably doesn't do anything. I mean, it obviously doesn't do anything, but it should compile. So at least I know that I don't have any weird tags or anything in there, and it compiles and executes and doesn't really do anything. All right. So now I'm going to do one function at a time. I'm going to start with the greeting function. So the greeting function, I just copy and paste it down here. Now this is a prototype, so the prototype has a semicolon. The function definition is where you actually implement the function. It's where you put all the instructions for implementing that function. So I'm going to put, I'm not going to have you watch me type a bunch of things, so I'm just going to say, welcome to program 3. Now, if you want to do a better message than that, I actually encourage you to do so, because the point of putting it inside a function and not in the main function is that you could put a long greeting here, and I'll actually, I'll just so I don't have to, I'll just put this a few times. So at least I have a longer greeting. So now I've done the implementation of the greeting function. Obviously, I don't want your greeting to look like that. Your greeting should make more sense. It should explain what's going to happen in the program, things like that. All right, so now that I've made my function definition for my greeting function, I need to call that function. So my function calls go here. So the way that I call the greeting function is the same way I call printf and scanf. I put the name of the function, I put parentheses. Now, when I'm calling printf, this is a function called to printf. I have to give things to printf in order for it to work. My greeting function has a void argument list or formal parameter list and a void return type. So therefore, I don't need to give anything to the greeting function for it to work, and it's not going to return anything. In your next assignment, we're going to do functions that take things and return things, but we're starting out by just doing void functions and making a program that is made up of smaller little subunits of work. Right? So now I build it. I test it. All right, so what happened is it starts execution right here. It finds the greeting function, it jumps out of my main function into the greeting function, and then prints those messages onto the screen. I do not need to put a return statement in my greeting function because it will automatically return back when it reaches the end of the curly brace. So let's do the next function. This is the second function. Again, that was the prototype. I need to change the prototype from a prototype to a definition, and I do that by putting curly braces, by removing the semicolon. The semicolon makes it a prototype, and then I put the opening curly brace and the closing curly brace, and now I've turned this into a block of code, or in other words, a function definition. All right, so now let's start doing this function definition. So I need to declare, ask, and get a character. So to declare, ask, and get a character, I declare char letter. I can name it whatever I want, or input. Then I ask the user to enter it. Printf. Enter a character. Then I scanf, remember to put the space %C, address of letter. So now I've done the first part, which is declare, ask, and get a character. And actually, now I'm going to test it to make sure that I don't have any issues. Okay, so I built it, I executed it, but it's not asking to enter a character. The reason it's not asking to enter a character is because all of that work is done here in this function definition. So in order to test this function, I need to connect it from my main function to this function. So I need to do that by making a function call. So I'm going to call this function. It's very common for students to leave off these parentheses. You need to always put the parentheses, even if it's a void function that takes no arguments. So now when I build it and test it, now it calls the greeting function, and now it asks to enter a character. All it does is say enter a character, you get the character, and it doesn't really do anything yet because I haven't told it to do anything. So I'm going to do this first part for you, and then I'm going to leave the second part for you to finish. So I need to add another variable. I need to have an upper version. I also want to have a lower version. Okay, I'm also going to need a couple integers. I'm going to need an int for the upper num, and I'm going to need an int for the lower num. All right, so I get the character from the user, and then it says to display the lowercase version of that character. So I'm going to get that letter from the user. I'm going to call the toLower function that is part of ctype.h. That's a function call. I'm going to pass the letter to that, and then it's going to return the lowercase version. So when I call this toLower function, I pass it the letter, and then it's going to assign that lowercase version of that letter to the character variable here called lower version. Then I want to get the number for that. So to do that, I just have my number, and I temporarily turn this character lower version into an integer. So let's refresh what I did here. I ask the user to enter a character. I get a character from the user. I take that character and I pass it to the toLower function and then assign that result to the character lower version. Then I take that character lower version, I put this keyword int in front of it, and I assign that integer value to my lower num function. And then I'm going to print it onto the screen. So I could take this here. This is the part where I declare, ask, and get. And this is the part where I display the lowercase version. So how do I display it? I display it by using printf. So I say printf, the lower case version of the character is, and I put little quotes around it, %C, and that numerical value is %D. So I just made my printf statement. I just said that the lowercase version of the character is %C. That's my first placeholder. So for that, I need to put this character with a comma. So lower version is going to be placed into this %C, and then that numerical value is %D, so that's going to be lower num. All right, so it looks like it's right. So let's test it and see what happens. Right, enter a character, W, the lowercase version of W. The lowercase version of the character is W, and that numerical value is 119. Correct. Try it again. Enter a capital A. The lowercase version is a lowercase a, and the numerical value is 97. So you can see that you can do this, add your own personality to it. And this is just, you need to put the same information onto the screen. So all I did here is I implemented the greeting function. Then I called the greeting function, worked. Then I implemented the initial practice function, and I called the initial practice function. It is not complete because I still need to get and display the uppercase version and the numerical value of the uppercase version. So you're going to have to take this little part right here and just make an upper version and an upper num, and then print the upper version and the upper num onto the screen. How you take your screenshot to turn in, you just go like this, and however you want, you can do here. Just take a screenshot of the whole screen like this. And then you guys know how to do screenshots. So, and then you just take that screenshot, save it somewhere on your computer, and submit that onto Canvas. It's just or you could put it into you can copy and paste it into a Word document and submit it as a document, as a PDF. It doesn't matter what. I left the format open. I just want you to submit proof that you are practicing and doing it in your IDE. So after you're sure that your greeting function is working as expected, your initial practice function is working as expected, then you're going to do the next function. So you're going to take the pounds to kilogram prototype, put it down here below the main, change it from a prototype to a function, and then you're going to do these things inside of that function. Declare, ask, and get the weight in pounds, convert the pounds to kilograms, and print them both onto the screen. Then you're going to have to make the function call to this to test it. So you just go here and you make the function call. Once you are satisfied that your pounds to kilograms is working as expected, you go and get the kilograms to pounds. Take the kilograms to pounds down here, change it to a function definition as well. You're going to declare, ask, and get the weight in kilograms. And then convert the kilograms to pounds, print them both onto the screen. And in order to test it, you're going to have to do the function call. And once you've done that, you have completed the entire program. So please don't wait till the last minute to get started. There are many ways to get help, so please look around on Canvas at the recent announcements. And you should try to, as you're working on it, if you need help, be sure to send an email, attach a current version of your code. If you go to any sessions, be sure that you are asking very specific questions. You need to work on this one step at a time, one thing at a time, so that you can identify at least the area where you are having issues and ask specific questions.